Hi, I'm sci-fi and fantasy author Michael LaVoice, aka LaVoice, in your head. And I'm finna talk nerdy with you. Well, I don't know how nerdy we're gonna get, but let me just say, as a guy who hopes one day that his novels are going to be optioned as a series on television or as films, I have to be careful here. But I have also had a lifelong, overdeveloped sense of injustice. So this may end up costing me anyway, and if it does, I think it'll have been worth it. Now, I'm old enough to have grown up in the age before and after the dawn of cable TV, personal computers, and smartphones. So therefore, I have a perspective that's not everyone's. Now, that's not a big deal. I mean, I'm Gen X, and there's a lot of us. But I'm going to go on about something here that many of us Gen Xers are a little obsessive about. See, we grew up in the dark age, where you had 3 television channels, 4 if you were rich, plus Telemundo if you grew up on one of the coasts. I didn't, but I have friends that have told me stories. And then came the dawn of the golden age of cable, where you had channels from all over the country. I could watch afternoon cartoons from Atlanta or Chicago and learn the Empire carpet jingle. And on top of that, suddenly we could see awesome movies in our living rooms for free. Well, yes, I'm aware that it was my dad's HBO subscription. That's not the point. When you're a kid, it's free. It was an exciting time to be alive. But there were still drawbacks. You had to keep an eye on the HBO guide to learn the difference between the time zones, or you'd miss that cool movie Saturday night that all your friends were going to be talking about at school on Monday morning. Not cool. And then the home video wars began. VHS got caught in the crossfire between Betamax and Laserdisc, and VHS came out on top. Now, not only could you buy and rent movies and watch them whenever you wanted, you could tape a movie off your TV and not rent it? Black magic. Sorcery. Ha ha! It was this technology that allowed me to see the original Highlander film over 150 times before I graduated high school. There was a dark side to cable TV that was it was getting pricier every year. And to get all the channels you wanted, you also had to take on a bunch of channels that you knew you'd never watch. This led to the a la carte movement. Basically consumers demanding that cable TV providers allow us to purchase packages of just the channels we wanted. You know, like choosing a la carte at a restaurant. Now, cable TV providers told us all to get bent. And since they were the only game in town, we kind of had no choice but to do so. Music was undergoing similar transformations over the same time period. The music media format wars came along, in which LP vinyl was replaced with 8 tracks, and then cassettes, and then CDs. I know it went further than that, but I'm trying to keep this linear. Cassettes gave birth to homemade mixtapes made up of songs you'd record off the radio. I mean, what Gen Xer worth their salt didn't remember having their boombox set up to have play and record and pause all pressed at the same time, right? And you had to be ready to undo the pause button. You pray to God that the DJ didn't talk over the intro to the song. CDs ended the reign of the cassette mixtape era, which was kind of sad to me. Then they came out with DVDs, which was a direct threat to the cable movie guys, unless they could figure out a way to get a piece of that like they did with the VHS market, which of course they eventually did. Now the computer age took over, and we slowly shifted to digital versions of music. Now at first this was seen as a great boon because we could store literally hundreds of songs on an iPod or a Zune or whatever MP3 player, or even better, a flash drive that could hold thousands of songs and then be plugged into a car stereo. Dude, that was heaven. Video entertainment underwent a similar transformation with streaming services. And the cable guys started to sweat a little. And, you know, because, I mean, here it was. At long last, streaming services could break the cable industry monopoly and finally force them to give us the a la carte pricing that we'd been asking for. Except, well, that's not what happened. what happened was that everybody jumped to the first streaming services, and then the guys making the streaming entertainment, or the entertainment, decided to start their own streaming services and then yank all their content from the other streaming services. Suddenly, with all the subs required to watch whatever you wanted to watch, it was just as much, if not more, than a cable TV sub. And then the subs you paid for made you pay even more to have the experience without commercials, which was the whole reason a bunch of us started streaming TV shows in the first place. The only solution was to go to someone like Amazon, buy the movie or the show, right, and stream it whenever you wanted to. It's just madness. And then came the ultimate insult. The Zon, followed by others, decided to sometimes make a movie that people had purchased, allegedly forever, suddenly unavailable. You couldn't stream it anymore, even though you bought it. I'm sorry, what? Right. I first noticed this when I went to introduce my son to one of the greatest films that I had ever had the pleasure of watching over and over and over again, and that was the Gregory Hines, Billy Crystal, Jimmy Smits film, Running Scared. I went to pull it up on the Zon, and it was gone. Why? No reason, just suddenly unavailable. I was incensed. If purchase no longer equals ownership, then piracy no longer equals theft. I looked around and I noticed that while I wasn't paying attention, almost everything had become subscription-based. Software. Remember buying software once? Remember those golden years? You load the software, you enter the key code, and then boom, you spend the next 2 hours to 4 months learning how to use it properly until some teenager comes along and shows you all the stuff you missed. Good times. At least then you own the software. Now I have to pay Microsloth an annual fee to use Office, and all I'm buying is their permission to use it. They can revoke that at any time. Now this takes us back to music. If I want to listen to a song on Amazon Music, I had to pay a monthly fee to listen to a song on demand, which is just a fancy word for whenever I want to. Otherwise, I have to ask for a certain song, and then they'll get around to playing it after playing 10 to 50 other songs like it. Here's a hint. They're not. And it's entirely beside the point. So, us Gen Xers who traded our LPs for cassettes and then replaced those with CDs, then replaced those with digital downloads, we're now told we have to pay every month to listen to music we thought we owned, and watch ads we thought we had paid to avoid. Is it any wonder we're grumpy? While you're at it, get off my lawn. Therefore, I am replacing all of my digital music with CDs, which I can rip with a read-write CD drive onto my laptop, listen to whenever I want, and burn on writable CDs for portable use in a vehicle if I can find one that still has a CD player. Alternatively, I can make them into MP3s and store those on a flash drive or on my phone again for portable sounds. You know, it's the mixtape with extra steps. But at least I got my music and movies back again. You know, video games, downloadable content morphed from a clever and convenient way to get your game in the time it takes to download it into a shackle of a monthly subscription to a Game Pass. Movies and TV shows. I've already mentioned the morass of modern streaming services, but it's out of control. Well, more to the point, it's out of our control. The entertainment industry has us by the collective short hairs, and they know it, which is why the physical media section of your favorite local retailer is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The digital overlords have realized that the last bastion of freedom is your DVD shelf, and they mean to stop you. My advice is to do what I'm doing. Get out of here and go get your physical copies of your favorite stuff that you like to rewatch, and then take care of them, because they aren't going to be available for long. Before long, everyone will be doing the old Disney Vault thing where they take the physical media version of whatever it is out of the stores and it's no longer available, and you'll be forced to try to outbid some retired recluse with way too much disposable income on eBay for that season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer you weren't able to buy on disc when it was at Walmart. Now, so far I've collected most of The Mentalist, all of Firefly, not a huge challenge, there was only the one season, all the modern Doctor Who up until the end of the Capaldi run, and a beloved classic, the first HBO miniseries, Philip Marlowe Private Eye. I have Buckaroo Banzai, Adventures Across the Eighth Dimension, but I haven't scored a copy of the original Highlander on disc yet, but there's a 30th anniversary edition on the Zon that I've got my eye on. I'm also working on rebuilding my music collection on CD, which I will be backing up on digital, and other shows and films that I've enjoyed watching over the years. Now, physical media is also, little bonus, history erasure proof, to a degree. I mean, the original copies of Star Wars that aren't the digitally enhanced version are as rare as hen's teeth. It's another thing the streaming services are doing, by the way, if you haven't noticed. They're editing out things that they, or more to the point, some oversensitive basement dweller, has deemed offensive or problematic. So if you like enjoying movies and shows the way you want to see them and not the way someone else sees them or thinks they should be seen, you better start snapping up that physical media while it's still out there, before we all get memory hold. Thanks for stopping by. Come back next time when I get to be LaVoice in your head.